Hello friends, Teo here. Let me grab my Joy-Cons. Actually I should... We're playing Harvest Moon: The Lost Valley. I should switch over to the scene first and then, there we go. I normally switch the scene and then pick up the Joy-Cons. Then that confused me a little bit. But we're playing Harvest Moon: The Lost Valley. Hopefully we can continue the story today. Not much happened yesterday. We did get our strawberries in, and maybe that's what the game was waiting for. Was for us to pick up some strawberries. And, we just need sugar. And we are gonna get sugar by, getting introduced to the new characters. We might also be having to wait for a certain day of the week. That would make sense. Luke's birthday's coming up. This doesn't look like we're getting a scene. No, we're not. We didn't get the scene, so no new characters for us today. So I guess that brings us to today's topic, and I wanted to talk about defining genres of games and why Harvest Moon is not an RPG. And the only reason I'm bringing this up as a topic is because, like, it's kind of a pet peeve of mine when people call Harvest Moon an RPG. And I realize language evolves and language is descriptive and not prescriptive and everything, but when you're dealing with things like, you know, like organizing things into categories, especially when you need to, like, market these things and stuff like that, you need rigid definitions for things. You know, like, there's a sort of science to it, and when it comes to, I need to do the animals. The animals, it's one cow. I need to take care of Crystal. So, I'll water these first, and I need to remember to buy broccoli. I should write that in my notes. Like, I have notes for this game. It's just what topics I want to talk about, but, oh, I can't reach down there. Oh, I have to do my thing now. Look, I'm doing it. But, oh, maybe I could have gone around if I wasn't in development mode. But, yeah, so, you know, when it comes to things like genres, like, definitions are very important. And with video game genres, you know, some people think it's kind of odd that for other media we define them by, like, the topical, like, the content topics, like with movies and books and stuff like that. Like, we define the genre based on like the setting and the story and stuff like that. But with games, we don't do that. I think a large part of that is because for a long time games weren't about stories. You know, games were about gameplay in the beginning, and games being about their stories and topics was more something that came about later. And what kind of games you like to play was originally based on what kind of gameplay experience you wanted to have. So I think that's why we define games based on their gameplay elements and not by their story characteristics. And then I do see that the flower people are here again today. Let's go get some talking in. But yeah, so I say all that because what an RPG means is based on what the gameplay elements of an RPG are defined as. All she says is Still, we've done 2 requests for her, I think, and she still just says But, so let's talk about the definition of what an RPG is. And an RPG is a very broad category, but they were originally computer RPGs, were games that were based on tabletop RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons. And the main gameplay elements that were taken from Dungeons and Dragons were not just that the game was about experiencing some kind of interactive story, but importantly, the gameplay element of random number generation determining the success or fail of actions, especially when that random number generation was based on some kind of statistical attributes to the characters performing the actions. And if you read like the Wikipedia article for CRPGs, like it's really long, and I think like if you read just like the first sentence, like it'll sound like the definition is that, you know, it's anything where a character plays a role in a story, and like that that's such a silly and ridiculously broad definition if you take that as the literal definition and just ignore the entire rest of the article that is written that gives more defining points. Because pretty much any game in which you control a character could be defined as an RPG then. And then, like, you know, these days, 99.9% of games would all just be RPGs. Like, we would just say every game is an RPG. Like, that's a little silly, don't you think? So, rather than that, I think that you need to look a little further into the article and read about the actual defining points of the genre. And you'll find that the key point is the random number generation based on statistical attributes, determining the success, whether it's a pass-fail type success or a level of success of the actions taken by the characters. And so yeah, it doesn't really have much to do with playing the role of a character, but rather that you have stats and whether you succeed or fail in most RPGs usually is at combat, but also other things, you know, like lockpicking or something like that, can be based on your stats. It's like rolling dice in a traditional tabletop RPG. That's like the gameplay element that defines RPG games. And you know, that's damage is random and based on RNG based on your stats, like stuff like that. That's sure, help with the flowers. We need those pansies for something. I don't remember what. I think it's for April's request, actually. But, so yeah, so that's what an RPG is. And that's not what Harvest Moon is. Like, when you brush your cow, you don't have, like, a brushing stat, and, like, the cow gets more affection at a random rate based on a dice roll that uses your brush stat as the, like, base to determine the affection. Like, that's just not how it works. Like, when you throw seeds, you don't, like, roll your seed throwing check and then sometimes the seeds will miss because you missed your dice roll. Like, that would make it an RPG, but that's not what it is. And you know, that's, yeah. And as for what kind of genre Harvest Moon is, I feel like people call it farming game, but like farming game is like, there are these kind of like something about making clocks. Hold on, I want to read what she says. Oh, just the same thing she said last time. But farming game is more like a descriptor, like a tag that you would put in like more like a tag that you would put in the description of the game, kind of like cozy or cute or something like that. Farming is more like a theme than it is a genre. When Harvest Moon first came out, it was listed as being in the simulation category. She just needs softwood lumber again. That's easy. So yeah, I would say Harvest Moon is a simulation game, and then within game genres there are subgenres, and I think life simulation is one that has kind of cropped up as a subgenre in more recent years, and I think Harvest Moon would fall under that pretty easily. So yes, definitely a life simulation game. And by definition is definitely not an RPG. It's not even close to an RPG. And but another part of discussion that I want to have is, why do people think it's an RPG other than like they read someone else call it that and so they started calling it that too, because they didn't realize that whatever they read was not accurate to the definition. But like, why did the people who first called it that call it that? Like, and so I was thinking of this off camera, and I think, oh no. And I was thinking part of this is maybe because, do I fill this in? What do I want to do? I kind of want to make some stairs going straight up here. So let's do that. Like maybe even 3 wide. But yeah, so I was thinking of why people might call. Oh my gosh, my like. Did you hear my? Oh my gosh, I forgot to turn my phone notifications off. I needed to like leave my phone with Husbando today, and so I turned the notifications on because I was using his phone, and because he has like the shopping list and the shopping apps and everything on his phone, and I was doing the shopping. So because he likes to make the list, and yeah, anyway, so my notification sounds are left on. I forgot to turn them off. And this is the first notification I've gotten all day. It's like past midnight. But, yeah, so I was thinking about why people might call Harvest Moon an RPG. And if you think about the popular RPGs at the time, this game was released in the later half of the 90s on the Super NES. And if you look at what the popular RPGs were like at the time, it was stuff like Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest. Saga wasn't super popular, but I'm going to say Saga because I love Saga. And pretty much clones of those. Like you had stuff like Tecmo's Secret of the Stars, and then you had some action RPGs like the Mana series. We had Secret of Mana and Trials of Mana. Secret of Mana was the only one in English, but you know, those kind of games were the RPGs of the time. And if you look, there are some traits that they share with Harvest Moon, and that's you're playing usually in a top-down environment. Okay, I want to start building up there too. Okay, we'll figure this out. But usually you're playing top-down, and your character kind of runs around in 4 or 8 directions, and there's you know, and you're controlling a character top-down, like that's basically the thing, the top-down control of the character. Whereas with games like platformers and a lot of other games, they were side-scrolling, where you were seeing the character from the side and moving them left and right with like jumping. And RPGs, like especially at the time, like what we called RPGs were usually the JRPG type of RPGs. If you were playing RPGs on your Super Nintendo, now we kind of like make this big distinction between JRPGs and Western RPGs, which there were those games on PC at the time, but it was like two different fan bases. And typically, if you were playing console games like Harvest Moon, then the RPGs you're familiar with were probably console RPGs, which were all Japanese style RPGs at the time. So this kind of top-down gameplay where you control a character and take actions on the environment around you seemed more reminiscent of, or seemed more similar to the RPGs of the time. So people might thought, oh, well, this is an RPG too. And when you think about it, people also misnomer Zelda as an RPG, which Zelda doesn't use stats or random numbers to determine the success of actions either, whereas Zelda is an action-adventure game and not an RPG either. But a lot of people also call it an RPG, and I think it's because of that top-down view, because pretty much any other game that used top-down views that weren't Zelda and weren't Harvest Moon were probably JRPGs that you were playing on the Super Nintendo. Like, and I think that might be where it came from. This is just my own speculation of why people started calling Harvest Moon an RPG. Like, I really can't think of any better reason that why people would start doing that. I'm pretty sure, I should have looked this up before I made this video, but I'm pretty sure the game itself was labeled as a simulation game. It surely was in Japan labeled as a simulation game. I don't know what it would have been labeled as in the West. I'm trying to remember back when I was reading a Nintendo Power. I'm pretty sure it was also listed as a simulation game, and I kind of had put it in the same group as like SimCity and SimAnt and other simulation games at the time. I don't know if The Sims had come out on PC yet, the first one. So I think this game came out in 97, the original Harvest Moon. I don't know. Anyway, why do you guys think people call Harvest Moon an RPG? Yeah, it's just a bit of a pet peeve of mine. A bigger pet peeve of mine with game genres is that people call everything roguelikes now, when roguelike traditionally meant clones of Rogue and everything else was a roguelite. And now that we use roguelike to refer to roguelites, then what do we call the clones of Rogue? Like, we can call them roguelikes as in clones of Rogue. That's so hard to say. And then some people, will say traditional roguelikes, but then there are people who think traditional roguelikes mean the earlier roguelites, like stuff like Hades and The Binding of Isaac, where like they have a permadeath system or something, like, and they'll call those traditional roguelikes. So like there's like, we have no good term to refer to roguelikes anymore, because everyone's using roguelike to mean anything with any kind of roguelite like aspects to their gameplay. So I don't know, what do we call roguelikes now? That really bothers me. And in this case, the word of rogue, the definition of the genre of roguelike has actually evolved to mean all of those things. But it's upsetting to me because I like clones of Rogue and not so much all those other things. So what do I even call them now? I guess Rogue clones. We'll just call them Rogue clones. I don't know. But some people might think that has to be the text art and everything, like really specific to the clone type of clones, whereas something like Mystery Dungeon or Azure Dreams wouldn't count as a Rogue clone, even though it's cloning the rules of Rogue to make their own game, but I don't know. Now I'm just rambling because I'm angry. But yeah, the topics left on my list, I don't know if I feel up to talking about tonight. They're not like they're very positive topics. Actually, there's just kind of like more passion topics, and I kind of feel pretty chill. I'm feeling a little more upbeat now. Maybe I'll try one. We'll see. Hopefully I save my game. Hopefully we get sugar tomorrow. I'll see you guys later. Have a good one and bye-bye. Oh, and join the Discord. Join the Discord. It's in the description. See you guys.